The Real Christmas Story, as translated from Plate 6 of the Emerald Covenant CDT plate recorder discs on December 15, 2001, by Emerald Covenant Speaker 1, Eshanadine, Eckhar Melchizedek Cloister. Birth of an Avatar. Long ago, on November 22nd, 12 BC, a child was born of natural conception to Melchizedek Cloister ascends Judy and Johias in the private dwelling of Ben-Yuman, later mistranslated as Benjamin, on the outskirts of the city of Bethlehem, in the land known as Israel. The infant's father, Johias, was a Hebrew Cloister Essene Melchizedek Rabni, which is a second-level Melchizedek Cloister ordinate priest, descendant from the house of King Solomon, son of King David. Solomon was the son of father King David of the Hyksos Leviathan Moses Abraham Noah Knights Templar Illuminati line, and mother Bathsheba, Assyria's Egyptian Asen of the Melchizedek Cloister Indigo Magi Grail line. The Indigo Grail line was carried into the Hyksos Illuminati line through conception of Solomon for the purpose of attempted Emerald Covenant redemption contract by Regenesis of the fallen hybrid Hyksos lineage. This race redemption contract later failed in 27 AD when the Hyksos and their Pleiadian, Nibiruan, and Anunnaki sponsors fully withdrew from the Emerald Covenant to re-enter the Atlantean Luciferian Covenant. Both Indigo and Hyksos lines directly descended from Atlantis. Judy, the infant's mother, was a Hebrew Asen Melchizedek Cloister regent, a third-level Melchizedek Cloister ordinate priest, a descendant from the house of Constantine. Judy's father, Reviticus, was a Roman Constantinus Ionatou Attila human triphib descent. Mother, Hebronon, was of Hebrew Asen Melchizedek Cloister Indigo Grey line descent. Most of this lineage fell to Omicron Draconian control following the Asen divide in 27 AD. The house of Johias was located in the city in Bethlehem Commons. Just after conception, when the couple was showed in a vision that Judy was with Avatar child, Johias took Judy into hiding in Jerusalem, where she remained with Asen Melchizedek Cloister relatives until just prior to the infant's birth. Judy was exiled to Jerusalem during her time of waiting to prevent the Sadducees and Pharisees Illuminati overseeing Bethlehem from discovering the prophesied Avatar birth. The Sadducees were in fact Necromaton and Dromi-sponsored Teozen King Leviathan Illuminati line members that raided Hebrew Tribe 2 Indigo Grail line. The Pharisees were in actual fact Omicron Draconian-sponsored Dragon King Leviathan Illuminati lines that raided Hebrewian Cloister Tribe 2 lines. Judy returned to the house of Ben-Yuman on the outskirts of Bethlehem on November 16th, 12th BC, riding by night upon a donkey provided by her 11-year-old escort Emmanuel, son of Ben-Yuman. Judy remained in hiding in the house of Ben-Yuman until the birth of the Avatar child. The Avatar child was born on November 22nd, 12 BC, at 12:14 a.m., attended by Saradai, half-sister of Judy and wife of Ben-Yuman, Merizjedra, daughter of Saradai and Ben-Yuman, Emmanuel, brother of Merizjedra, and the Melchizedek Cloister high priest that became known as John the Baptist. The Achatic Trinity, the Christos Seeding Mission, and the 1212. Prior to physical birth, the Indigo Child Type 1 Avatar Asen infant and his Asen Avatar twin Marahari, later changed to Mary, were Asen Emmanuel and his Avatar twin Ashridari before them, Melchizedek Cloister Eckhars, which are 48-strand DNA template level 6 Melchizedek Cloister ordinate ascended masters. Like all Magi Indigo Grey line incarnates before and after them, all were born as members of the Melchizedek Cloister Achatic twin consummate pairs through the Sirius B Maharaji Council of Azaline, Halls of Amareya Passage. One DNA-activated Achatic twin consummate pair represents one fully incarnate Ekharai, the birth of Judy's avatar child on November 22nd, 12 BC, and earlier his female avatar Akashic twin Marahari on June 21st, 13 BC, both earlier prophesied by John the Baptist, represented the earthly incarnation of the third Ekarai in the Emerald Order Ascended Master Trinity. The three Ekaris, which are three twin pairs, Akashic twin pairs, incarnated together at this time as they had done before since failure of the 22,326 BC stellar activation cycle to complete a portion of the Emerald Covenant Founders Planetary Christus Realignment Mission in preparation for the scheduled SAC of 2000 through 2017 AD. Each of the 6 Ekars carried the Arya Azata Tribe 12 DNA template coding from their previous Tribe 12 incarnations in Atlantis and Lemuria. The first Ekarai twin pair, John the Baptist and Merijedra, collectively carried the mathematical programs of the Triveka, Kuveka, Darveka, and Raveka High Veka codes in their Akashic twin DNA templates. John the Baptist, known as how is this pronounced? Iani. Yeah. John the Baptist, known as Iani, the Greek form of John, was born in Rome on December 21st, 46 BC, to Greek-Roman father Pagenthius, descendant of the Roman house of Romulus, tribe 5 Indigo Grey Line, and mother Miriam, of the Hebrew Ascend Melchizedek cloister, tribe 2 Indigo Grey Line, exiled on Paxos Island, Greece. Merijedra, daughter of Judy's paternal half-sister Saradai, was born in Jerusalem on September 1st, 34 BC, to Melchizedek cloister Ascend Ceres Egyptian, tribe 4 Indigo Grey Line father Ben-Human, and Indian Ascend Roman mother Saradai, of father Raviticus, of Roman Constantinus Ionatu Attila tribe 5 Indigo Grey Line descent, and mother Impetal of Ramavita tribe 6 Indigo Grey Line India. The second Ekarai twin pair, Emmanuel and Ashridari, collectively carried the Akasha Crown Becker code in their Akashic twin DNA templates. Emmanuel was born in Bethlehem on January 1st, 23 BC, as Merijedra's younger brother to Ben-Human and Saradai. Ashridari was born in the Thar Desert region of India on February 2nd, 14 BC, to father Vejuga Ramyana and mother Darij Ramak Junnananda of the Indian Rambita tribe 6 Indigo Grey Line. The infant avatar born to Judy and Johias on November 22nd, 12 BC, and his Ekarai twin Marahari each carried the D12 pre-matter Christos by Veka code in their Akashic twin DNA templates. Marahari was born in Magdala, Palestine on June 21st, 13 BC, to father Muhammon of the Hibiru cloister tribe 10 Indigo Grey Line and Greek Hebrew Ascend Melchizedek cloister mother Runithiramas of the tribe 2 Indigo Grey Line. The 3 Ekarai, 3 males and 3 females forming 3 Akashic twin pairs, incarnated together as an Akashic trinity under the Elohai Elohim Christos Founders Emerald Covenant Commission. Their shared purpose was to reimplant or reseed the Veka code mathematical programs into Earth's planetary shields in preparation for the 2000-2017 AD activation of the 4 Faces of Man LPIN system from 22,326 BC. The 3 Ekarai were the primary frequency carriers of the 144,000 incarnate Grey Line Indigos who were collectively serving as appointed Emerald Order Melchizedek Cloister Guardians of Earth's Templar during the Christ period. Since the Iani massacre of the failed 22,326 BC stellar activation cycle, these 3 Ekaris, who had headed the failed Christos realignment mission of 22,326 BC, had agreed to repeatedly incarnate thereafter until the intended December 21st, 2012 AD completion of the Christos realignment mission. Through their repeated incarnations, as a set of 3 Akashic twin pairs, the High Veka Code Trion Mirage field programs will be progressively re-entered into Earth's grids through dispensations of the High Veka codes via the Ekar's DNA templates during their numerous lifetimes. The Ekari serve to anchor the high Veka frequencies into Earth's Templar and transmit them into the DNA templates of the 144,000 Team Indigo incarnates. Team Indigo incarnates then downstep the high Veka frequencies and transmit them into the DNA templates at the tribal shield level of the angelic human 12 tribe races. Through repeated incarnations of the Ekaris and their Indigo Grey Line team, the high Veka code programs corresponding to the planetary Templar of Earth, Inner Earth, and Parallel Earth would reach critical mass imprinting in Earth's Templar and the human race morphogenetic field. Once the high Veka code programs were reseeded into the Earth's Templar, the LPIN, and APIN systems of the Iani, Elohai, Elohim, Seraphai, Seraphim, and Braha-Rama Christos founder races could be activated during the next stellar activation cycle. Activation of the Iani's four faces of man, LPIN, and the Elohai's great white lion, the Seraphai's golden eagle, and the Braha-Rama's blue oxen, APIN systems during the next stellar activation cycle would allow for the 2000-2017 AD Christos awakening on Earth and Earth's final fulfillment of the planetary Christos realignment mission, planetary Maharic Seal, and planetary Mahonta Merkaba. The female Ekars carried the base magnetic and the male Ekars the base electrical portions of the Tri, Ku, Da, Ra, and Akasha high Veka codes to which they were commissioned. The full D12 by Veka code was carried by both male and female Ekars assigned to its commission. The high Veka code programs would enter Earth's planetary shields from the DNA templates of the Ekars when each Ekar received their equivalent level of Melchizedek cloister ordination and resultant corresponding DNA template activation from the Inner Earth Iani priests of Earth. The twin pair carrying the Akasha Crown Veka required full level 6 Melchizedek cloister Eka ordination and temporary activation of the 48 strands of their DNA templates in order to transmit the Akasha code, the planetary Godseed, into Earth's Templar. The twin pair carrying the primal light and sound field Trion Miage high Vekas, the Tri, Ra, Da, and Ku Veka codes, also required level 6 Eka ordination and temporary activation of their 48-strand DNA templates. The twin pair carrying the D12 Pre-Matter Christos Divine Blueprint by Veka code required level 3 Regent ordination only, through which only 12 of their 48-strand DNA templates will be brought into activation to release the D12 by Veka code program. The Biveka code is the high Veka code through which the D12 Maharata Christos liquid light primal life force current can run into Earth's Templar as the carrier wave for the higher frequency primal light and sound currents associated with the high Veka codes above it. Though the third Ekar pair would only activate their DNA templates to the 12-strand level to become MC Regents, Melchizedek Cloister Regents, their mission was equally as essential as, and their Ascended Master's status equal to, the first and second Ekar twin pairs with 48-strand DNA template activation. The three Ekatic twin pairs functioned as an interdependent team. Since D12 frequency could not run through Earth's planetary shield since the fall of Brennaway in 208,216 BC, the Ekar twin pairs could not receive their required level of DNA template activation and Melchizedek cloister ordination on surface Earth, as D12 frequency was necessary to initiate these DNA template activations. Therefore, at different times, each of the 6 Ekar avatars comprising the 3 Ekari Ekatic twin pairs were to be individually brought to the Ark of the Covenant Andromeda portal passage, which anchored into Earth's Templar at Planetary Stargate 4 Giza, Egypt, to receive their DNA template activations. While positioned within the Ark of the Covenant passage, D12 frequency could be drawn from the D12 Amareya passage to activate the DNA template. From the Ark of the Covenant passage, the dormant high Veka code programs held by the avatars could be transmitted into Earth's Templar. The high Veka code programs would be projected into Earth's planetary shields from the Ark of the Covenant at Giza to Stargate 12 and QSite 12, France and Lemuria, Kauai, Hawaii, in Earth's Templar. At these 1212 sites, the High Vector codes would be held dormant until they could activate on a D12 12-code pulse as the 2000-2017 AD stellar activation cycle commenced, at which time they would be directed throughout Earth's Templar through sacred Rainbow Roundtable mechanics to activate the Four Faces of Man LPIN and Founders APIN systems. The Christ period is known as the Christos fulfillment of two objectives during this period of Earth time. The first objective was to reseed the High Vector mathematical programs into Earth's Templar through the commissioned births and temporary DNA template activation of the 6 Ekars. This objective was fulfilled during the 46 BC through 37 AD Christ period. And we now move on to the Christ period stalemate and the 1111. The Founder's second intended objective in the Christ period drama was to release the Nibiruin and Anunnaki's forced hold over Earth by disengaging the connection between the Nibiruin dyadic crystal grid at Stonehenge, England, and the Nibiruin battlestar Wormwood. Since 22,326 BC, Anunnaki races have been using the Nibiruin dyadic crystal grid checkerboard matrix to erode the original High Vector code programs in Earth's planetary shields, which would prevent activation of the Emerald Covenant LPIN and APIN systems needed for the fulfillment of the Christos realignment mission. In the Christ period, the High Vector codes were to be reseeded in Earth's grids, and the Nibiruin dyadic crystal grid, the NDC grid program, manually disengaged to prepare Earth for the coming 2000-2017 AD stellar activation cycle and Christos realignment. Control of Nibiru fell into the hands of the Marduk Dramin and Necromaton Andromi Nephilim Draconian Agenda Anunnaki legions in 48 BC. The deposed and repressed Nibiruin and Pleiadian Luciferian Anunnaki races of Galactic Federation reluctantly agreed to suspend their intended Luciferian Covenant One World Order Dominion agenda to enter the Emerald Covenant if the Founders would assist them in reclaiming Nibiru. The agreement included an attempted Emerald Order Melchizedek Cloister bioregenesis redemption contract for the Pleiadian Nibiruin's earthly Hyksos Knights Templar Leviathan hybrid Illuminati race line. A 9th level avatar known as Jeshua 9 was a D11 non-Christic avatar of the Jehovin Anu Elohim Fallen Angelic Collective on Emerald Covenant redemption contract, who was born in Bethlehem in 7 BC to Hyksos Mother Mary, husband of Hyksos Joseph of Arimathea, and Nephilim father Isaiah. Jeshua 9 was intended as the genetic carrier of the Emerald Order Melchizedek Cloister host matrix for the Hyksos Illuminati Anunnaki hybrid races of Earth. The 6 Emerald Covenant Melchizedek Cloister Ekars of the Christ period were intended to reclaim the gold Ark of the Covenant box containing the rod and the staff Stargate tools from its burial place in Saqqara, Egypt. The Pleiadian Nibiruin races agreed to return to the Ekars CDT Plate 11 that had been stolen by Thoth in 22,340 BC and hidden among Hyksos Knights Templar families in Greece during Thoth's Hermes period. In fulfillment of the Christos seeding mission, the rod, staff, CDT Plate 11 and Shield 11 Stargate tools were to be brought to Q-Site 11 Ireland in 12 AD by the Ekars via the Inner Earth portals. Q-Site 11 and its corresponding Stargate 11 in England, the 1111 site, would be manually activated using the Stargate tools to disengage the NDC grid and checkerboard matrix grid program that was embedded in the 1111 axiotonal ley line via Stonehenge. If the Pleiadian Nibiruin Anunnaki and Galactic Federation had not betrayed the Founders between 10 AD and 27 AD, when they made counter-agreements with the Draconian Anunnaki and Necromaton and Andromi Nephilim races of Nibiru, the 6th Emerald Order Melchizedek Cloister Ekars would have travelled to Q-Site 11 Ireland to disengage the NDC grid in December 12 AD. This was finally accomplished in July 2001, a little bit late. 3 of the Christ period Melchizedek cloister ekars were intended to serve as Emerald Covenant speakers, offering Emerald Covenant entry and Melchizedek cloister baptisms and, where needed, redemption contracts to the public. Those accepting Melchizedek cloister baptism and redemption contracts would have the DNA template activation levels necessary for temporary evacuation into inner Earth, which would be needed for protection from the Earth changes that would result from the intended 12 AD disengagement of the Nibiruin dyadic crystal grid. In 10 AD, Pleiadian Nibiruin races of Galactic Federation entered deals with the Marduk, Dramin Anunnaki, and Necromaton Andromi races controlling Nibiru, pulling out of their Emerald Covenant peace agreements. The 6 Melchizedek cloister ekars were unable to fulfill the second objective of the Christos reseeding mission, since the Anunnaki guided their Hyksos Illuminati races to relocate the hiding place in which the stolen CDT Plate 11 was kept. Without the CDT Plate 11 shield activator disk, the Melchizedek cloister ekars could not manually activate Stargate 11 to release the NDC grid at Stonehenge. Galactic Federation also instructed the Hyksos Illuminati to attack the Team Indigo Ascends, working with the 6 Melchizedek cloister ekars, in attempt to steal the Ark of the Covenant gold box and Stargate tools from them. The Anunnaki intended to use Plate 11 and the Rod and Staff tools to create pole shift, in the hope of preventing activation of the high Vecca codes in Earth's Templar during the 2000-2017 AD stellar activation cycle. The Hyksos succeeded only in stealing the staff tool from the Ark box, and so could not fulfill their intended Dominion agenda during the Christ period. The King Arthur drama of 609 AD was a continuation of this stalemate, through which the again incarnate Melchizedek cloister ekars made headway in preparing for the 2000-2017 AD SAC Christos realignment. The sword Excalibur was the staff tool which King Arthur's Team Indigo reclaimed from the Hyksos-descended Illuminati races. The real Christmas story is the story of the Akkatic Trinity of 46 BC through 37 AD, the Emerald Order Melchizedek Cloister Team Indigo and their Ekari avatars, and their collective efforts to fulfill the Planetary Christos seeding mission in order to prepare Earth's Templar for the final Christos realignment mission of 2000-2017 AD. So, the coming of Jeshua 12. On November 22nd, 12 BC, at 12:14 a.m., Judy gave birth to the male avatar infant in the house of Ben-Human on the outskirts of Bethlehem. Saradai, Judy's half-sister by common Roman father, Reviticus, and Merijedra, Ekari I, Saradai's 22-year-old daughter, served as midwives in the birth. Upon the infant's arrival, John the Baptist, Ekari I, then aged 33, and by the way, happy birthday, and known by his Greek name, Johann, with the assistance of 11-year-old Emmanuel, Ekari II, presided in the initiation rites of the infant's Melchizedek cloister conjugate baptism. On November 22nd, 12 BC, Iani and Emmanuel prepared the infant's body for integration of its Ekari III identity, which would occur 1 month later in fulfillment of the Melchizedek cloister conjugate baptism and regent ordination. Upon his physical Melchizedek cloister initiation, the infant child was named Jeshua, the original Jeshua, a name chosen by his father Johias. As an aside, the original ancient Hebrew alphabet of Atlantis once contained the letter equivalent of J, which was lost in Hebrew tradition when the Omicron Draconian-sponsored Pharisees Illuminati removed 6 key letters from the Hebrew alphabet following the 25,500 BC Lucifer Rebellion. Melchizedek cloister Iani races retained these letters in their tradition through their open contact with the Iani priests of Earth from inner Earth. In original Melchizedek cloister records, the Hebrew letter J was frequently used, whereas in compromised ancient Hebrew text, the Hebrew letter corresponding to Y was substituted. Illuminati records refer to Jeshua as Yeshua, therefore. So, Jeshua and his mother Judy remained in hiding at the house of Ben-Human on the outskirts of Bethlehem until December 20th, 12 BC, when they made the journey to the house of Jehoias in Bethlehem City Commons for completion of Jeshua's Melchizedek cloister conjugate baptism on the December 21st, 12 BC winter solstice. As is the case in all indigo child types 1 and 2 births, the soul of Eckhart Ascended Master Jeshua embodied into the physical vessel through the process called soul-braided walking. So, a little more about indigo child soul-braided walk-ins. The consciousness field of indigo types 1 and 2 oscillates at too high frequency to directly integrate into a physical vessel that holds anything less than a natural 12-strand DNA template activation. Indigo children types 1 and 2 incarnate into density 1 Earth physicality by entering a limited, simultaneous incarnational cycle in various immortal Eani Orifim human Christic avatar bodies in density 2 semi-etheric matter, Sirius B, Tara, inner Tara, and parallel Tara time cycles, and within the density 1 inner Earth time cycle. Simultaneously, the indigo identity enters the standard 212 cycles comprising the 1728 simultaneously incarnate identities of a Christic angelic human avatar within densities 1 through 4 of the particle and antiparticle universes in our time matrix. To begin incarnation in a density 1 Earth body, the indigo avatar first sends into the new physical vehicle for fetal integration the lowest oscillating incarnate soul identity of itself from the density 2 Tara time cycle within the particle Earth incarnational 12 cycle. Fetal integration of the soul usually takes place between the 33rd and 56th days following conception of the physical zygote. Fetal integration cannot occur at conception or before the 33rd day thereafter, as the oscillation rate of the energetic frequency that carries the consciousness is too fast and would destroy the scalar wave template of the zygote's matter form, resulting in miscarriage. In indigo children types 1 and 2 births, the density 2 soul from Tara integrates into the embryo and remains as the active soul in the body throughout birth and until the DNA template activates sufficiently to hold the faster oscillating Orifim Eani avatar soul. The birth soul remains with the body, and the avatar soul remains in D4 through D6 biofield overshadow, connected to the body via a partly activated 6th DNA strand template, unless early activation of the infant's DNA template is orchestrated by the Eani Melchizedek cloister master priests of Ur. When the body reaches the chronological age of 12, and if the bioenergetic field and DNA template of the incarnate soul remain clear and are not compromised, the incarnating avatar works with its counterparts in Inner Earth and Sirius B to initiate Christic avatar integration DNA template activations. When the 12-strand DNA template is initiated into activation via level 3 Melchizedek cloister regent ordination, the birth soul and Eani indigo avatar identities prepare for a soul-braided walk-in. To fulfill a soul-braided walk-in, the birth soul consciousness progressively raises an oscillation to the density 2 rhythm. Simultaneously, the D12 Christic avatar identity aspects stationed in Inner Earth and density 2 Sirius B lower their oscillation rhythm to that of density 1. Over the course of usually 2 to 7 years, or rarely within a 12-day period after regent ordination, the birth soul disengages from the lower 3 strands of the DNA template, as usually occurs in biological death. The consciousness passes into the D4 astral body field awaiting ascension to density 2. Simultaneously and in a synchronistic manner, the Inner Earth and Sirius B identity aspects of the Eani avatar transmute their bodies to density 5 antimatter primal light, then lower their oscillation to D4 astral field rhythm. In the D4 astral field of the incarnate body, the Christic avatar braids together its inner earth and Sirius B aspects of consciousness and memory imprint. Then begins Christic avatar embodiment in the density 1 earth body by progressively merging its consciousness with DNA strand templates 1 through 12. Oh, perfectly easy. As the birth soul walks out to the D4 astral field, the Christic avatar identity walks in to physical embodiment, releasing the birth soul from the body's karmic miasmic imprint. Released from its karmic imprint, the birth soul takes an evolutionary leap, accelerating in frequency to merge its consciousness with the aspects of itself stationed one lifetime ahead of the original Taran incarnation from which it entered density 1 fetal integration. The Christic avatar identity, now intertwined with and responsible for the DNA template of the density 1 physical body, proceeds to clear any remaining miasmic imprint from the body, while sequentially bringing into sustained activation the first 12 DNA strand templates of the indigo genome for full Christic avatar embodiment. Once the body can hold at least temporary, sustained 12-strand DNA template activation, the Christic avatar will then begin activation of the 24 through 48 strands of its commission requires it to do so. So now we move back to the soul birth of Jeshua and the three kings, night of the Trinity, and the winter solstice of December 21st, 12 BC. On the evening of December 20th, 12 BC, Jochias left his house in Bethlehem City Commons, travelling to the house of Ben-Human on the outskirts of Bethlehem to escort Judy and baby Jeshua from their hiding place back to their home in Bethlehem City. The trio travelled through the night by donkey to avoid detection by the Illuminati Pharisees, Sadducees, and the guard of King Herod of Judea, all of whom sought to discover the whereabouts of, and to kill, the new avatar rumoured to have been born recently. Jochias, Judy, and baby Jeshua arrived safely at the house of Jochias before dawn on December 21st, 12 BC. It was necessary for baby Jeshua to be relocated to the house of his father Jochias by the evening of December 21, 12 BC, as this was to be the night of the avatar soul birth. Echar, John the Baptist, and three male Melchizedek cloistered regent Magi Grail king priests from other lands were scheduled to serve in attendance in completing Jeshua's conjugate baptism. John the Baptist and the three Magi kings were commissioned by the inner earth Eani priests of Ur to initiate the electrical frequency transmissions of Melchizedek cloister regent ordination for early fulfillment of Jeshua's indigo child soul-braided walk-in. The three kings, a brown-skinned Ramvita Grail king from India, a yellow-skinned Yu Grail king from Tibet, and a white-skinned Sarah's Egyptian Grail king from Saqqara, Egypt, were scheduled to meet John the Baptist at the house of Jochias nearest the Bethlehem inner portal on the evening of December 21, 12 BC, winter solstice. Each of the three Magi Grail kings brought with them herbs, minerals, and sacred preparations as gifts to John the Baptist for use in Jeshua's soul-braided walk-in Melchizedek cloister regent ordination. The Magi of India brought a special preparation of myrrh. The Tibetan Magi brought frankincense, and the Egyptian Magi brought a highly coveted elixir made from an ancient Atlantean Sarah's Egyptian recipe. The most coveted and potentially dangerous potion of all was that made from the collected residue of the transient element celestalene, the liquid excreted through the skin during activation of turnstile DNA in the human atomic transmutation process associated with Stargate passage ascension. In ancient Egypt, the pure celestalene residue was known as stardust blue, or blue powder gold. As an aside, upon contact with oxygen, liquid celestalene secretions dry to a fine powder, which rapidly breaks down into inert elemental units. Celestalene powder is a natural biochemical byproduct secreted by the body during Stargate passage, or upon the death of the physical body, if the consciousness is able to achieve Stargate ascension out of density 1. Pure celestalene powder can be collected in minute amounts by gently dusting the skin after one has passed through a Stargate, and remanifested on the other side. If it is rapidly collected and specifically stored, pure celestiline powder is a powerful healing agent, as it can trigger temporary bursts of 12-strand DNA template activation for anchoring an individual's D12 divine blueprint. Celestiline powder is only useful for this purpose if the planetary shields can run D12 Maharaja current. This has not been the case since 208,216 BC. In rare cases of expedited indigo child soul braided walk-in, intended to commence in infancy, a minute amount of ingested pure celestiline powder plus tincture applied to the base, crown, and the 12th chakras can temporarily trigger a minute burst of 12-strand DNA template activation, even on a planet void of D12 current. This effect can only be gained if the powder is collected and preserved from a planetary system capable of running D12 Maharaja current and used rapidly after collection before it loses its core D12 subharmonic electrical charge. In ancient Egypt, impure celestiline powder, or its aged residue, was harvested from corpses or mummies whenever discovered. Impure celestiline powder, known as white powder celestiline or white powder gold, was used by Illuminati pharaohs to trigger psychic powers by unnatural activation of higher strands in the DNA template. This process led to permanent disability of the lower DNA strands, physical addiction to the substance, and eventually insanity. As celestiline powder derivatives and alchemical concoctions made from elemental gold with the intention of mimicking celestiline effects were lethal and widely abused in ancient Egypt, the Iani priest of Inner Earth removed this knowledge and access to the substance from surface Earth. Use of pure celestiline powder by Grey Line Melchizedek cloister priests for Melchizedek cloister ordinate applications was permitted only on rare occasions and under direct supervision of the Inner Earth Iani. And back to the main story. The Egyptian Magi attending the avatar soul birth of infant Jeshua in 12 BC was entrusted to bring the gift of the gold, an elixir of celestiline blue powder gold manufactured in Inner Earth by the Iani priests of Ar. The Iani created the blue powder gold elixir specifically for the purpose of triggering temporary 12-strand DNA template activation to orchestrate the extremely rare event of a 12-day indigo soul-braided walk-in for infant Jeshua. Eckhart 1 John the Baptist had received his level 6 Eckhart ordination from the Iani priests on his 33rd birthday, December 21, 13 BC, and was taken to the Ark of the Covenant at Giza to transmit the electrical portions of the Tri, Ku, Da, and Ra Veka codes into Earth's Templar. John's Ekatic twin, Mary Jedra, fulfilled her Eckhart ordination and magnetic Veka code transmission on her 22nd birthday, September 1st, 12 BC. Eckhart II Emmanuel was to receive his level 6 Eckhart ordination and electrical Akasha code transmission on his coming 12th birthday, January 1st, 11 BC. Emmanuel's Ekatic twin, Ashridari, received her Eckhart ordination and fulfilled her magnetic Akasha code transmission on her second birthday, February 2nd, 12 BC. Like Jeshua, Marahari Eckhart III, Jeshua's Ekatic twin, received her level 3 regent ordination and Biveka code transmission on July 21, 13 BC, 1 month after her birth on June 21, 13 BC. The December 21st, 12 BC level 3 regent ordination and soul birth of Avatar Jeshua represented a completion of the high Veka circle. The Ekatic Trinity was fully incarnate on Earth in order to fulfill the Christos seeding mission. The three Grail King Melchizedek cloister priests did not follow a star to Bethlehem to find baby Jeshua, as the legend is falsely told. Each of the three Grail Kings had been earlier approached by an Iani priest from Inner Earth named Ma'ahuete, and told that their service was needed in Bethlehem on the winter solstice. Ma'ahuete, known as Ma'a, as this Iani priest is often called, provided each of the three Grail Kings with the protected sacred knowledge of the access keys and inner earth portal locations that connected their lands to the inner earth portal of Bethlehem. The three kings became known as the three wise men within the Anunnaki falsified legends due to their knowledge of Earth's Templar, inner earth portal locations, and the crystal seeding mission. The three Grail Kings entered Bethlehem through the inner earth portal after sunset on December 21st, 12 BC, and proceeded to the nearby house of Jehoias in Bethlehem Commons to fulfill their priestly duties in the regent ordination of infant Jeshua. The three kings did not at first realize that their portal entry into Bethlehem had been witnessed by a member of the Sadducee Guard. It was Ma'a, who had emerged from the portal to reset its security access template, that discovered the detection. When the Sadducees discovered the presence of the three Grail Kings in Bethlehem, they would alert Herod of Judea, and both would send their legions to hunt down the indigo avatar infant to whom the three kings were prophesied to attend. Ma'a observed the quick return of several Sadducee guards who were then posted to contain the area at which the three kings were reported to be seen. Sneaking past the guards undetected, Ma'a ran under the cloak of night to the house of Ben-Human on the outskirts of Bethlehem, as the three kings made their way safely to the house of Jehoias. Ma'a intended to devise a way by which the kings could escape from Bethlehem after attending to the soul birth of Jeshua, before Herod and the Sadducees discovered the location of Jehoias' house, where the indigos were hiding. The three Grail King priests arrived at the house of Jehoias after nightfall to meet Jeshua and John the Baptist. The process of Jeshua's regent ordination was completed by 9:45 p.m. Ma'a reached the house of Ben-Human, informing Ben-Human of the pending trouble and asking his assistance. Ben-Human offered Ma'a his 2 camels and a donkey to serve as transportation, by which the three kings could escape to Bethlehem in order to make the journey to the main Jerusalem inner earth portal, from which they could return to their homeland safe from Illuminati interference. Ben-Human's almost 12-year-old son Emmanuel, Echar II, volunteered to go with Ma'a to take the beast to the home of Jehoias in Bethlehem Commons. Ma'a and Emmanuel, posing as shepherds in search of missing flock, rode to Bethlehem Commons, bringing the beast to the stable of Jehoias. They entered the home of Jehoias around 9:15 p.m., just before Jeshua's regent ordination was complete, telling of the coming threat of Herod and Sadducees' guard, and the need to lead the Grail Kings home by way of the portal. Ma'a planned to send Emmanuel to the stables of the inn on the east side of Bethlehem Commons, the route the kings would take to emerge into the desert night undetected by the Sadducee Illuminati guard. Emmanuel was given a small skin drum by Jehoias and provided with 2 different drum beat codes, one meaning safe passage, the other guard warning. Emmanuel went ahead to the designated stable location to observe the activity of the Sadducee guard. When the area near the inn appeared clear of guards, Emmanuel beat out 1 round of the safe passage drum beat. This was heard by Ma'a, waiting at the house of Jehoias. Ma'a then led the 3 Grail Kings upon the beast through the quiet streets of Bethlehem to the edge of the town in the east. Ma'a instructed the kings to ride into the desert by following the brightest star. The star that the 3 kings followed to escape from Bethlehem after tending to Jeshua was a Merkaba vehicle plasma ship, intentionally positioned by the Maharaji Blue races of Sirius B. Ma'a had arranged through his constant telepathic link with the Maharaji for the Star of Bethlehem Merkaba ship to appear to direct the Grail Kings to the appropriate desert area. The kings were instructed to wait in the desert for Ma'a's return the following evening, December 22nd, 12 BC, for escort to the Jerusalem inner earth portal, but Ma'a, in the flesh, could not return. The morning of morning, 12:16 a.m., December 22nd, 12 BC, the story of the little drummer boy. Ma'a led the 3 Grail Kings to the desert edge on the east of Bethlehem, as Emmanuel waited hiding in the stable by the inn, keeping guard over Ma'a's intended return path. Ma'a was to return to the stable to collect Emmanuel and safely return him to the house of Ben-Human on the outskirts of Bethlehem before dawn. Emmanuel watched the inroad from the shadows of the stable, and Ma'a began his return from the desert edge as the 3 kings followed the star. Come on. Into the safety of the desert night. Suddenly Emmanuel heard a clamouring of people coming down the old inn road. He was quickly to identify them as the Sadducee guard, who had begun door-to-door raids in search of the kings and the Avatar infant. If Emmanuel did not warn Ma'a would be caught by the Sadducees as he returned to the stable. In hope of alerting Ma'a to the pending danger and diverting the Sadducees' attentions from the nearby home of Jehoias, Emmanuel, hidden in the stable, repeatedly beat out the guard warning drumbeat upon his small skin drum. Hearing the odd drumming in the silent night, the Sadducees stopped their rage to trace the beating to its source. The Sadducees descended upon the inn stable just as Ma'a had returned. Knowing Emmanuel was trapped within the stable, and that his arrest and anticipated torture and interrogation by the Sadducees would bring Herod's suspicion down upon the house of Ben-Human and Jehoias, Ma'a attempted to create a diversion by running and yelling through the street. Ma'a dodged behind the stable and entered from the rear, hoping to lead Emmanuel out to safety in the direction opposite to the Sadducees' advance. But several Sadducees remained posted at the stable and saw Ma'a's entry and the waiting boy. They hailed the return of the remaining guard. Ma'a and Emmanuel knew they could not allow themselves to be captured by the Sadducees, because Emmanuel would be easily identified as the son of Ben-Human, endangering all of the Indigo Grey Line families in Bethlehem. They had to find a means of escape. They refused the Sadducees' repeated demands of surrender, and the Sadducees began throwing their lit torches as a result of their refusal upon and within the inn stable. The small stable was quickly surrounded in flames, and there was no point of escape for Ma'a and Emmanuel. So, Ma'a laid 11-year-old Emmanuel in the water trough from which the stable beast had drunk, and then lay his own large body on top of him, in hope of protecting the boy from the encroaching flames. Just before Ma'a lay down to cover the boy, he saw the roof beams of the stable glow red with flame, and heard the whining crackle of their burden. Both Ma'a and Emmanuel knew at that moment that a new plan for fulfillment of the Christos seeding mission would need to be initiated, and both knew that their physical bodies would die that pre-dawn morning of November 22nd, 12 BC, and that both would need to return to complete their part of the sacred mission. Ma'a and Emmanuel left their bodies at will as they lie in the water trough manger just before the stable roof collapsed to consume their physical vessels within the angry flames. Both died in peace, knowing that they had at least diverted the Sadducees' immediate attentions away from the house of Jehoias, leaving time for baby Jeshua to be led to safety. The morning of December 22nd, 12 BC, from 12 a.m. to its dawn, is known as the Morning of Mourning among the Emerald Covenant races, as a commemoration of the sacrifice of love made by Emmanuel, the little drummer boy, and Ma'a, in their protection of Jeshua and commitment to the Christos seeding mission. The Morning of Mourning rapidly gave way to a celebration of eternal life, as December 22nd, 12 BC became the day of visitations through which the Christos seeding mission was at least partially completed. And so we move on to the element concerning the Shepherd of Light and the Feast of the Golden Wreath, the day of visitations, dawn through dusk, December 22nd, 12 BC. Following the death of their physical bodies in the stable fire, Ma'a and Emmanuel transitioned to the spirit form with which they were most accustomed. The three Grail kings, unaware of the tragedy, remained in the desert awaiting Ma'a's return to guide them home through the Jerusalem inner earth portal. News of the stable fire spread throughout Bethlehem, reaching the house of Jehoias and Ben-Human by dawn. Emmanuel's mother and sister Mary Jedra entered a state of deep mourning, as did John the Baptist in the house of Jehoias. From their position in spirit form, Ma'a and Emmanuel received guidance from the founders to work together in keeping the Christos seeding mission on track. They were told to engage a series of spirit visitations beginning just after dawn on December 22nd, 12 BC. Ma'a and Emmanuel first appeared in physically tangible form to Emmanuel's sister Mary Jedra at the house of Ben-Human on the outskirts of Bethlehem. Emmanuel told his grieving sister to mourn no more, that he would return but for a little while. He told Mary Jedra to bring her mother Saradai and father Ben-Human to the house of Jehoias on that evening of December 22nd, but to wait in Bethlehem Commons before going to Jehoias's house until they heard the special beating of a single drum. Mary Jedra's aging mother could not make the journey by foot, and the family's beasts of travel had all been given to Maa'ah for the 3 kings on the evening before. Emmanuel told Mary Jedra to look into their grazing field, and there she saw a donkey appear in one moment when it had not been there one moment before. A small miracle from source God, provided through the efforts of Maa'ah and Emmanuel. Mary Jedra was also given by Emmanuel a set of small branches of golden sage, a healing plant grown only in the territories of inner earth. She was told to make a wreath of them, as if a golden crown, and to give this gift to the baby Jeshua when they arrived at the house of Jehoias that evening. Mary Jedra and her mother and father began the short journey to the house of Jehoias at sundown. The second visitation occurred after speaking with Mary Jedra on early morning of December 22nd, 12 BC. Emmanuel and Maa'ah in spirit form next visited the 3 Grail King priests awaiting Maa'ah's return in the desert. There Maa'ah told them of the stable fire, and that they were to stay a while in the desert until evening, when Maa'ah would return to guide them to the inner earth portal in Jerusalem. Visitation 3, Maa'ah and Emmanuel next appeared in a visitation to John the Baptist at the house of Jehoias. They told John to have Judy and Jehoias prepare a feast of celebration for the guests from the house of Ben-Human that would arrive that night. They also told John to prepare Judy to release baby Jeshua to the safekeeping of the Iani priests, who would ensure his safe passage to the Ark of the Covenant at Giza, Egypt, for transmission of his Baalbekah codes between December 26, 12 BC and January 2, 11 BC. Emmanuel, in spirit form, handed John the Baptist a physically tangible, small skin drum like the one he had played in the stable. He told John to watch the evening sky for the second sign of the star, which would be shown by the Maharaji of Sirius B, when they observed the family of Ben-Human arriving in Bethlehem Commons. When John saw the star, he was to take the little drum to a field not far from the house of Jehoias and beat out 1 time the safe passage rhythm, to let the family of Ben-Human know it was safe to come. The family of Ben-Human arrived in Bethlehem Commons nearing 8:15 p.m. on December 22nd, 12 BC, as John the Baptist saw the second showing of the star appear and beat out the safe passage drumming. All gathered then at the house of Jehoias, where Judy had prepared a celebration feast as had been requested, though no one yet understood what the celebration was for. After the food and wine was shared, all sat gathered round the hearth, wondering for what they had been assembled. Visitation 4. Infant Jeshua slept sweetly in his mother Judy's arms, when suddenly a pale golden silver sphere of light appeared to the right side of Judy, startling everyone in the room, save for Jeshua, who gently awoke from his sleep and smiled. The sphere of light stretched vertically to become a pillar of light, and the pillar of light then split into 2 pillars. As the family watched in wonder and awe, 2 figures emerged into physical expression from the pillars of light before them. Emmanuel and Maa'ah then stood in physically tangible form, encased in the pillars of light, together singing a sacred holy song. When their song was through, Emmanuel spoke to his mother and sister, comforting their pain at his passing, and telling them that he would return in the year 11 AD as the son of John the Baptist. Maa'ah then instructed Mary Jedra to place the golden wreath of sage that she had made upon the infant Jeshua's head. Maa'ah then placed his large black hand upon the golden wreath, and for a moment the sage branches glowed with pale golden silver light, sitting as a crown of light upon the infant's head. In his touch, Maa'ah had transmitted the access security codes to the Ark of the Covenant portal passage at Giza into the DNA template of Jeshua, the codes that would allow him to conduct ascensions through the Ark of the Covenant when he reached manhood. Emmanuel then told Judy that she must allow John the Baptist and Mary Jedra to take the infant Jeshua into the desert on the night of December 24, 12 BC, where he would then be taken by Iani priests of Ur to inner earth. From inner earth, Jeshua would then be taken to the Ark of the Covenant at Giza to transmit his Baalbekah code into Earth's Templar between December 26, 12 BC and January 2nd, 11 BC. Judy and Johias were told that the Iani must keep Jeshua in inner earth with them until he turned the age of 12, if the child were not to be found and destroyed by the god of Herod of Judea. Jeshua would be returned to them through John the Baptist in Saqqara, Egypt, when he turned 12 years of age. Judy and Johias understood, but were saddened at the coming loss of their son. Emmanuel then spoke and told them of the child that lived already within the womb of Judy. His name was to be Samuel, the brother of Jeshua, who would come to heal the loss of Jeshua. Ma'ah and Emmanuel then dematerialized, instructing the family to burn the golden wreath within the fire, to release its frequency into their home, to provide temporary protection. The Feast of the Golden Harvest Wreath on the evening of December 22nd became a tradition among the Indigo Grey Line race of Earth since this time. Following the fourth visitation, Ma'ah then revisited the three Grail Kings awaiting him in the desert. Ma'ah told them to set loose their beasts, bury their kingly goods, and tear their clothes like beggars, so they might approach the city of Jerusalem as unassuming ones. Ma'ah, again manifesting in tangibly physical form, taking on the image of an old shepherd, led the disguised king to the Jerusalem inner earth portal entrance, arriving a bit after dawn on December 23, 12 BC. The three kings safely passed to inner earth through the Jerusalem portals and returned to their respective homelands on December 24, 12 BC, with the commission of committing their knowledge into sacred writings among their cultures. In these writings, Ma'ah became known as the Wayshower and the Shepherd of Light, the true and only original Father Christmas, upon which later legends were built. There he is on the mantelpiece. On December 23, 12 BC, John the Baptist and his Akkadic twin Mary Jedra took infant Jeshua into the desert to meet the Iani priests. On December 24, 12 BC, the Akkadic twins were married by the Iani priest and told to stay 2 days in the desert for later instruction. On December 26, 12 BC, the Iani priest brought infant Jeshua to the Ark of the Covenant at Giza, where his Biveka codes were transmitted into Earth's Templar between December 26, 12 BC and January 2nd, 11 BC. Also on December 26, 12 BC, a group of 3 Iani priests emerged from inner Earth to bring the understanding of the Christos seeding mission to John and Mary Jedra. The priest explained that the Akasha code carried by Emmanuel had not been entered into Earth's Templar as intended, because Emmanuel's body had died prior to his Eckhart ordination, originally scheduled for January 1, 11 BC, which would have been Emmanuel's 12th birthday if he had not been killed in the stable fire on December 22, 12 BC. John and Mary Jedra, each carrying the DNA templates of an Eckhart and together representing fully incarnate Eckhari, could serve as parents of Emmanuel when he returned to fulfill his part in the Christos seeding mission. The only problem was that Mary Jedra was infertile and could not conceive a child. The founders, through their Iani spokesman, asked John and Mary Jedra if they would sacrifice, again, just for a little while, the great comfort of their love and companionship of which they had just rendered fulfilled in marriage. Mary Jedra would need to die in the flesh, to rapidly be reborn and grow up again to marry John, a union through which the rebirth of Eckhart to Emmanuel could be completed to fulfill reseeding of the Akasha code into Earth's Templar. With great sadness but devotion to the Christos seeding mission, John and Mary Jedra agreed. John was told to leave Mary Jedra in the desert, and on January 1, 11 BC, to look again for the third and last showing of the star, which would tell him that Mary Jedra had passed on. December 26, 12 BC became known as the Day of Revelation. On January 1st, 11 BC, Mary Jedra left her body to return to spirit form. On January 2, 11 BC, infant Jeshua completed full transmission of the Biveka Christos code into Earth's Templar, and his stay in the Ark of the Covenant beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza came to an end. Jeshua was taken into inner Earth and raised by the Iani priests until he was returned to John the Baptist in Saqqara, Egypt, at the age of 12 years. January 2nd, 11 BC became known as the Festival of Light, the night of the Christos Mass, commemorating the return of the Biveka code and the Christic potential to Earth and its peoples. This day is considered the high holy day and the true Christmas, the Christ Mass, of the Emerald Covenant Indigo Grey Line races, January 2nd. On September 1, 5 BC, Mary Jeddah was reborn to Judy and Ben-Human, who had married following the death of Ben-Human's wife, Judy's sister Saradai. Mary Jeddah returned in 5 BC as the albino female child named Miriam, maternal half-sister of Jeshua. On December 24, 10 AD, young Miriam was again married to her elder Achatic twin, John the Baptist, Yani, in a ceremony performed by her older half-brother Jeshua. On December 21, 11 AD, Miriam gave birth to John's son, Jeremiah Emmanuel, the return of Echar Emmanuel and the Akasha Code. The Akasha Code was re-entered into Earth Templar on January the 1st, 12 AD, fulfilling one of the two founders' objectives of the Christos seeding mission. Between 10 AD and 27 AD, the Nibiruan Anunnaki and Galactic Federation broke their Emerald Covenant promises to the founders and proceeded to misdirect their Jeshua 9 Anunnaki D11 avatar, born in 7 BC, and their Hyksos Illuminati hybrids into their original Luciferian Covenant One World Order Illuminati Dominion agenda, which culminated in the 27 AD event known as the Ascend Divide. But because of the partial success of the Christ period Christos seeding mission, the High Vecca codes were reset in Earth Templar to allow for the fulfillment of the planetary Christos realignment mission in our contemporary 2000-2017 AD SAC. The story of the High Vecca codes is the real story of Christmas, and it is the celebration of the return of Earth's Christos divine blueprint and humanity's final freedom from the fallen angelic forces of Phantom Matrix. The dates of December 21, 12 BC through January 2, 11 BC became known as the 12 days of Christos Mass, each day representing the activation of the Bivecca code within one of the 12 DNA strand templates of infant Jeshua. The 12 days of Christmas culminate in the Christos Mass Festival of Light celebrations of January 2nd. Since the times of the Christ period, the Christos Mass has been the celebration of the Christos Awakening that was long scheduled to take place on January 2nd, 2002 AD, when the Bivecca code would reach critical mass and begin its activation cycle in Earth Templar, initiating the fulfillment of the planetary Christos realignment mission intended to complete on December 21, 2012 AD. The real Christmas story will reach its final chapters in our contemporary times, as the Team Indigo Grey Line races have returned to fulfill their part in the planetary Christos realignment mission. Ta Ija into the way.